Well, hello. It's me, Amber. Oh my gosh, I'm giving myself the ick already at how rusty I am of podcast recording. But hello, icking myself out aside, this actually feels really, really nice to be sat back here on the mic. It's been a good couple of months. The season 6 ended in June, and this is now end of August, basically September. It's the last day of August that I'm recording this. And I feel really good. I'm kind of actually going to feel like my shoulders dropping into it and easing in. But I wanted to do this episode today just as a little bonus episode in between, of course, the end of season 6 and before the beginning of season 7, which will be starting in October. But I'll talk a little bit more about that at the end, as well as some updates, things that you can keep your eyes peeled for. But what today's episode has called me most to talk about, and I guess it's a bit of like it's a little bit of like a life update. Not that I think anyone really cares about what goes on in my life, but it's it's more I want to share what I've been navigating this summer, and I suppose, well, really this last month, because, well, I think it can relate and hopefully comfort a few people, perhaps. I mean, well, that's quite literally the whole premise of this podcast, is me sharing my stories and life experiences in the hope that it will help just some of you, and you might be able to see yourself in my story and my experiences. Or if you don't, and it's something that you might be anticipating, you've at least listened to someone else who has gone through it before you and is sharing their 2 pence. Whether it's a good 2 pence or not, you can be the judge. So, where to begin? This summer, it's been a wild one. It's been a wild one in terms of the diary, for one, but I'm really not about to put you through here and go through my diary and what I have been doing outside in my little podcast break. But it's been a lot of life's really good moments. It's been very much fueled by connection. I really feel that perhaps is my buzzword for this summer, has been connection. It's been a lot of family time, and I'll go into why. A lot of family time, a good amount of time with friends, and yeah, just connectedness. And not only connectedness in my personal life, in my working life with my group circles. They've been continuous throughout the summer, and they have just been magical and very, very connecting, not only for me, but for those who have been participating in them. So, yeah, I think connected and connectedness is my words for this summer. But what I want to talk about there's been two things that have been in my calendar this past month that I want to talk about, and I guess share what they have been like for me. And the first one I want to talk about is my brother's wedding. He got married, finally, to his partner. My brother Kyle married his partner, Helen, of nearly 12 years. Yeah, there'll be 12 years, I think, soon. With two beautiful children, my niece and nephew, Leo and Nala. And it was a wedding that was highly anticipated and highly demanded from a certain mother-in-law. I'm only saying that because we were all on his case after a little while of, seriously, dude, come on. Anyhow, my brother and my sister-in-law got married on the 17th of August this year, and it truly was a spectacle. But I'm going to go back a little bit and kind of walk you through the day before, kind of those really crucial days before and afterwards, and kind of what life has felt like after this really, really big event in, mine and my family's calendar. So, do you know, I'll actually take you right back when my brother, when my brother was buying the ring for my sister-in-law. This going back now 2 years ago, 2022, and he actually was buying the ring on Mum's birthday that year. We were meeting up as a family, I think just round their place, and he's called me, and I just pulled up to the drive, and he's called me. And I remember my sister-in-law needed me to come in and watch the kids because I think she was about to go to a gym class. So it worked perfectly. I got there, I could watch the kids, she'd go to the gym class, and we'd come back and we'd all have dinner together, blah, blah, blah. So I pulled, I pulled up. I'm laughing because it's so funny, and I hope it conveys in this. It's maybe one of those you had to be there type of things. Anyway, I pulled up, and as I pulled up to the drive, my brother's called me, and as far as I'm aware, he's just on his way home from work. So I'm thinking, why is he calling me? I don't know, whatever. I answer, and he goes, "Hello." So he comes through, the car play in my car, and my sister-in-law at this moment has opened the front door, and I'm like 10 meters from her, let's say that. So from the outside, you could probably hear the muffles of the car and the phone call, right? So he calls me and she's opened the front door. So I'm like waving to her, hi, hi, hi. And then I'm like, yeah, what do you want? To my brother. Siblings, eh? And he goes, I'm not at work and I'm not on my way home. I'm in Hatton Gardens getting a ring. And my eyes obviously bulge out of my head. I'm looking at my sister-in-law, trying to not give it away. Can you hear that bastard fucking ice cream man again? He's actually mugging me off. He does it every time I do any sort of recording, any sort of important thing. He is there. And you know what? He has no schedule. There's not a schedule that I can even make note of and know the ice cream man comes at that time. Also, just stop giving the kids ice cream. It's not good for their arteries. That actually really got up in my craw then, as you could tell. Will I edit that out? Probably not. Because me and the ice cream man, we've got a vendetta. I've got a vendetta against him. Anyhow, Kyle says, I'm getting a ring. I said, oh, okay. What do you want me to do here? Because your soon-to-be fiance is looking at me through the door. He's like, figure it out. Just tell her I've got my tire has blown and I'm getting it sorted. I was like, great. So I'm lying on the spot right now. Anyway, so she half kind of bought it, the lie. She was like, where is he, where is he? She was really concerned, she was really worried. And then he proposes a couple of weeks later. So it's nice in a way that Mum's birthday was kind of involved in this story. She would have loved that. She would have loved that whole story. And then eventually when they did get engaged, we of course did tell her that his tire did not blow up on the motorway and that he was in fact pissed in London with his two best mates getting her ring. We laugh about it now. So, of course, the past the 2 years leading up to the wedding, my sister and brother-in-law my sister-in-law and brother really just really cracked on with wedding planning, all that stuff. And to be honest, I never really asked questions. I kind of just was like, yeah, whenever they told us updates. They were very, very chill, bride and groom. I hope I take a leaf out of their books one day. And it was only and I was a bridesmaid for my sister-in-law. She so kindly asked me to be a bridesmaid, which was really beautiful. We had an incredible hen do in Dubai. We don't do things in halves. My brother had his stag do in Vegas. Again, don't do things in halves, these guys. And I kind of, it wasn't that, of course, I didn't care to ask. Now being on the other side, I can definitely see there was some distracting coping mechanisms or just avoidance coping mechanisms going on, because it was only really until August, the beginning of this month, came knocking that I was like, oh shit, my brother's getting married and our mum's not here. But even with that realization, and over the summer, I'd actually returned back to therapy. which was, I won't lie, amazing, you know. And I think for anyone who has listened to the podcast for a really long time from the beginning as well will know that I had a really tricky relationship with therapy. My very first initial interaction with therapy just wasn't great, and it really did a doozy on me. So I returned this summer with an amazing therapist called Neeru. I highly recommend her. I will definitely return to her as and when I need it. And it was really great actually to have her support and to have that place to talk about these feelings about my brother's wedding as it was coming up. And it was, yeah, it was a whirlwind couple of weeks of August. It's a busy time, isn't it? It's summer, if you know, cram full of loads of things. And it was kind of like, oh shit, again, blink, the wedding is next week. Blink, oh my God, it's Wednesday. Start sorting yourself out. Blink, it's Friday. You're getting picked up, you're going to the venue with all the bridesmaids and the bride. And the day before, and something that I had discussed with my therapist, and something that I really kind of wanted to do because it's my brother getting married, and it was kind of lost on me, I won't lie, for a minute. And if my brother is listening, he might laugh. um it kind of got lost on me that it was my brother who's getting married because I was a bridesmaid for my sister-in-law. Does that make sense? And I felt a bit bad. I was like, oh my God, I've not even really considered my brother in this. It was quite bad. And I was like, oh shit, I've been so on my bridesmaids duties and of course supporting my sister-in-law, that I kind of sat and thought, oh my God, have I really supported my brother in this? So I spoke with my therapist and I said, I think I really want to write my brother a letter. And we sat with that, and she's, why do you want to do that? And she said, I think it's really beautiful. And I said, I think I do. I said, I think I just want to do that, to, I don't know. I said, I just want to write him a letter. Just want to write him a letter. And the day before, the Friday before we went, they got married on the Saturday, I sat down and I blubbed my way through writing a letter. That writing of that letter was definitely a build up of, I won't go as far as saying, the 2 years from since they got engaged. It was definitely a build up from, maybe even like mum's anniversary in June up until that point of being like, yeah, she's not here for this. Like, wow. And of course, I'm not going to divulge into depths of what I wrote to my brother. That's personal to him and I. But it was just along the lines of, I love you. I'm proud of you. And mum will be with you. She'll be with us. And I gave it to my partner to give to him on the morning of the wedding because he was with him and all the other ushers and groomsmen, etc. And so Friday comes. So even after, so a Thursday night, I wrote that letter. And boy, oh boy, did I big boo-hoo. I typed it up and then I hand wrote it out. One, writing handwritten letters, ow, cramp. I was like, you better fucking appreciate this. And my brother notoriously rips the shit out of me for having really bad handwriting. And I actually let him have it because it is terrible. It's absolutely terrible. So even though I'd had that really big cathartic release in that letter, come Friday, I could really feel this anxiety in me. And anxiety, I think, in me shows up maybe typically a bit differently than maybe to others. And that's not saying that I'm different, but maybe others will relate to this. I could say that and people would be like, yes, that's very 101 of anxiety. And anxiety is a new emotion, a new experience that I have been grappling with in this last year. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm like crippled by anxiety, but there's definitely notes of it, and I'm learning to do the dance with that. And what I've noticed in myself, if I feel a bit anxious, is I can almost become quite cold, which I know, and for me and anyone who knows me, is like, I'd like to say the furthest thing from who I actually am. I'm not a cold person at all. I don't relish in that at all. and I could feel myself being a little bit cold, or maybe cold is too harsh a word to use on myself. I'd just be a bit more reserved. I was quiet. And again, if you know me, I'm not quiet. And we got picked up, and we went to the venue, and then we went to a little pub afterwards, and I could still feel myself, and I couldn't find my way to get involved with the chat with the bridesmaids and stuff. I was, of course, excited. I was there. I'm like, I'm so excited, but my body language wasn't saying it. And I was kind of piecing it for myself then and there, like, what is this? And I was just feeling hella nervous for the next day. And just kind of, yeah, like, I had no idea, like, how mum would be, like, noted on the day, or just how I'm going to feel, and how my brother was going to feel. I think that was quite a thing as well. Because with my brother, he's, the only other person that if he cries, I cry. He's the only other person in this world who knows what it is like to have lost our mum. So I was quite anxious for, but he's not an overly overt emotional person, my brother, but he is. He's very in tune with his emotions now. And I kind of thought tomorrow could be like the biggest display of emotion of him that I'll ever see. And like, how am I going to prepare myself for that? And we were sat at this pub, this back on Friday now. And I was sat with my sister-in-law and one of the other bridesmaids. And I was like, where am I sat? Again, like I said earlier, I didn't really ask questions. I kind of just did as I was told and whatever. And I said, where am I sat? Actually, out of curiosity, I was like, you don't mind me. I was like, throw me with anyone, I'll be happy. I said, where am I sat? And she said, she looked at me and she said, almost looked at me as if like, what a silly question. She went, you're sat on the top table with us. I said, I beg your pardon. And of course, immediate like tears start to rise. I went, what? Because I knew what she was going to say next. She said, you're at the top table with us, to represent your mum. And oh God, it completely took me by surprise. Like, honestly, I had no idea, no idea. And I just immediately started blubbering. She started blubbering. She was like, girl, stop it. We were just blubbering. And I just felt, this deep honor, because I just did not expect that at all. So yeah, I was up there top table. It's nice being top table, isn't it? You feel like you look out to all the peasants, like, yeah. More on that later. And so, kind of in a way, once I'd heard that, I don't know why, it kind of shifted something for me. And it wasn't like a thing of like, oh, I know where, my place is in the wedding now. I don't know. It was kind of like the first time in that day mum had been mentioned. And I could definitely sense there was an air across all of us, all of the bridesmaids, anyone who was really close in the wedding, like in the parties, they carried the emotion just as much from mum as well. There were many tears from everyone. Many of these people, all, if not all of them, had walked through that time when we lost mum with us, whether they are friends of my brother and sister-in-law, their family, they've all felt that loss of mum, or they felt, the pain of watching my brother and sister-in-law go through the loss of mum. So it was this weird kind of, loveliness that I wasn't the only one who might be, maybe struggling's not the correct word for those, but noting that, yes, Sue's not here today, and that's sad, but we're going to hold her, with us. And so then we carry on. We had a lovely night. We had a little bit to drink, and then we went to bed and kind of woke up. I didn't get a wink of sleep, by the way, a wink of sleep. I thought, God forbid what I'm going to be like on my own wedding day, Christ. Woke up and was like, let's do this. I just woke up with a real energy and a real like, oh my God, she's here. Like, she's totally here. And it was the most perfect, those like dewy summer mornings where like the grass is just a little bit damp, but the sun is rising. It's a little bit foggy, maybe. It was just perfect. And as the morning progressed, as we were getting ready, it just got sunnier and sunnier and better and better. And we just kept looking out the curtains from like the bridal room, like, guys, this weather is absolutely fucking unbelievable. I was just in awe, and I just kept really feeling like, oh, she's working her magic. The only way I can just say is that she was there, like, completely. And we sat outside in like the little garden bit, and a little robin came by, and we were like, oh, hello, mum. Of course, had another cry. um I saw my sister-in-law's bouquet, and she had the most beautiful charm of my mum. There's actually another funny moment with that. I knew she was doing that anyway, and it was like an hour before we were walking down the aisle, and I went to go take all the bouquets out of water to, not let them drip. We didn't want them dripping down our front bits, did we? So I took them out of water to let them dry, and my sister-in-law came out that time as well, and she said, she stopped. She said, have you seen my bouquet? I said, no, I have. I said, I've seen, like, obviously the bouquet itself. And she lifted it and showed me the charm. We just looked at each other, bottom lip pouting, and we just went to each other, don't, because we had our makeup done. I turned away from her, she turned away from me, and we started laughing because it was just like, for her as well. Not only for me and my brother, but for my sister-in-law, she loved mum so much. And oh god, and of course I'd fucking cry, obviously. My mum loved her so much as well. Mum, I hope if anything, she died knowing that, her son has a really good woman by his side. And that she is, and she's an even better mum. Oh, Helen, if you're listening, fucking hell, what are you doing to me, Gil? Yeah. And it's just, she, we've gone through hell with each other historically. But yeah, I know she felt the absence of mum a lot as well that day. So yeah, as you can see there, a lot of tears just throughout the morning. But it was like they weren't like sad tears. I don't know how to explain it, and those who might understand it will get it, and those who don't, we don't. But it was the tears, but they were like, well, my tears definitely felt like, yeah, she's not here, but we're here together, and how lucky we are. That's all I keep thinking, even now, like, just how lucky we are to have each other. And so we go down the aisle, all that stuff, all that jazz. I didn't fall over, which I thought I was gonna go arse over tit, but I didn't. It was a bit slippy on the rug, but it was okay. And beautiful ceremony, and then into the rest of the day. Let's jump ahead. Let's jump ahead. So we get to the wedding breakfast now, dinner time. Starving, absolutely starving. No, I wasn't actually. I've been grazing throughout the whole day. Wasn't that hungry. No, I was plied with plenty of snacks throughout the day. And so now it comes to the wedding breakfast, and of course now I'm at top table, looking out at my sea of peasants. Joking, not joking. And time for speeches. And bless, my brother had asked our dad to do a speech, which I was like, oh my gosh. And my dad, he's very sweet, not man of few words, as almost like, what it typically means to be a man of few words. But my dad can be very shy sometimes, bless him. He can be very shy. My dad has this really funny trait of, if he feels a little bit shy, or he feels a bit, he'll trail off his sentence, and he won't quite finish his sentence. He'll be like, yeah, well, and it'll be like that, and just not finish the sentence like that. And then we're like, what? He just does that. It's really funny. It's actually quite sweet, and I've really noticed it in later years. Like, oh, he's actually quite shy at times. So when Kyle said Dad's doing a speech, I was like, Dad, please make some notes. Like, please make some notes. He's like, no, it's fine. I'll freestyle it. I said, Dad, for God's sake, please. And then I'm sat next to him. Thankfully, he pulled out some papers. I was like, thank fuck. And he delivered a really gorgeous speech, and of course mentioned mum, and just how, yeah, it's beautiful. I really can't wait to see the videos back on that, because the adrenaline is running through. You kind of really forget a lot of things, but yeah, I just remember it was really beautiful, and very respectfully. My mum and dad went together when my mum died, but of course she was the mother of his children, and will always hold love and respect for her. And yeah, really beautiful. Made the room give her a toast. Then my sister-in-law's father gave a speech, which was really lovely. And then my brother, and he came with notes, boy. I was like, damn. I was like, that's a lot of notes there. But absolute class. Absolute class. I kind of sat there and I was like, we're a family who can talk. We can actually do a good speech, us three. I wonder what mum would have been like. Probably she would have been the one that let the side down. But us three Jeffreys, we could do all right speeches, I think. And I mean, not a dry eye in sight. Not a dry eye in sight, with my brothers. I mean, I was definitely surprised when he turned around to me in his speech, and I won't talk too much about it because I'll just cry again and my face has just dried. But I didn't expect to mention, I mean, some of the mentions he did allude to me being a brat. So I'll leave that part out when I probably share about them in a month's time when the video is released. I'll edit that bit out. But yeah, really beautiful words and stunning words about mum and his wife. I've got his wife and his children, and there was nothing better as a sister to sit there and look at my big brother and just see how happy he is and how happy we all are, just really looking around that room. I think that's what really contributes to a really beautiful wedding day is, really looking around and seeing that like every single person here is so happy for this couple and this family and this joining of families. Like there's not one bad egg in here who's wishing, unwell. To look at my brother and to see, he's my brother. For as long as my memory goes, there's always been him. And to see him now from a boy to a man, to a husband and to a father, looking at him, I was looking at him for two and just thinking, Mum, like, look at your boy, look at his life, look at his family. Truly beautiful. Unbelievably beautiful. And like my brother's friends, he's got so many friends. And like when I say, people say they've got so many friends, are they actually friends? No, these genuinely are. They are all friends. And there's times when he'd get a bit choked up and his boys would be like, come on, bro, you got this, you got this. And it was just like, oh, that brotherhood. Oh, you couldn't write it. You couldn't fucking write it. And then we went on to have a really, really good party. Boy, oh boy, did we dance. I don't think I left the dance floor once, really, other than to get a drink, which I never really had to do because they were got for me. And we danced the night away. We danced, and it was great. And the party didn't stop until very much the late morning for some of us. It was a great time. And to roll into the next day and just sort of, the week and the days after, we just, as a family, as I was saying earlier, we're looking back on photos and just reminiscing already and laughing about parts of it. But overall, just coming back to like, I mean, for me, most definitely, it's just like, my gosh, how lucky are we? How blessed are we? And, my family, we do stem from a family of faith. And, even for myself, flittering in and out, but feeling really blessed that, our family has known deep sorrow, it's known hardship, it's known pain, very, very much so. And this time is like the happy years. They've been the happy years for quite a while. And we're just like, how lucky are we that we get to have these days and to really just grab them and to be with each other and to experience them together. And I think what was most particularly overwhelming on the day and kind of before and afterwards was actually the presence of mum on that day and less of the absence. And that might make sense, it might not, but I did not anticipate the feeling of her presence more than her absence. And that, I've not felt that for a truly long time. There's times where, oh, well, it has been, I've just become familiar with that. Oh, I don't really feel her much anymore. Or where do I find her in my everyday, perhaps? But this day just felt like you could look over somewhere and she would be there, or I just think like, oh my god, she'd love that part, or she'd love that bit of decor. Just she was there, and it wasn't that it was like I was uh persistently looking for things to think, oh, she'd love that, or I feel her there. It just was, just couldn't help but feel it, like, oh, mum would love this. Oh, that actually, I actually caught myself many a times going, she loves this, she is loving this. And that was what was really overwhelmingly beautiful. It really felt like she was present. It wasn't like, oh, we weren't talking about her in past. I was like, she's loving this. Mum is loving every single moment of this, and genuinely feeling like I was receiving that information from her in a weird way. So much to unpack with that. And I've got a smile on my face. And, it's just, yeah, it exceeded everything. Not only as I thought for the wedding, but even like for what I anticipated, like in my own grief. Um, we felt her massively. It was incredible, absolutely incredible. And I think we're all still on a high, really. And we're all chasing the next wedding. Oh, best believe my partner got so many, when you two? And I just said, I'm done at this point now, guys. I'm done asking the questions. So, Grief Gang, if you want to get onto my partner, his number is, I'm joking. I'm just joking. But really, though, if you find his Instagram, you can send him a DM and say, why the fuck have you not? No, I'm joking. He'll actually kill me for putting that in. He come back and he said, I am sick of how many people ask me. I said, well, pull your fucking finger out then, fella. Do you know what I mean? When you got a good woman, you know what I mean? But that was the wedding, and I posted bits and bobs of it, obviously, of course, like throughout. I think like the day, I might have put one picture up on the day, and then I like lost my phone for the rest of the duration. I love days like that, you're like, I don't even care where my phone is. I'm just so in the moment right now. And but then I posted, I think on the Monday, like a sort of a roundup from it. And I just want to say a huge thank you to so many of you for your love and your kindness and your support, just your really kind words towards not only me but my family. Really, really beautiful. And I shared it with them, of just like, I was like, people are really, really kind. They were like, yeah. Because I've spent nearly half a decade, it'll be 5 years this September since I've started Grief Gang. A lot has changed. You've been there for a lot of stuff with me, through a lot of pain. And I wanted to share this really joyful time with you all. And you were just so kind and lovely. So a deep, deep thank you, not only from me, but my family as well. And then a week later, tell you what, it's been a couple of weeks, guys. I'll tell you that for free. A week later, exactly a week later, it was Mum's birthday, and what would have been her 60th birthday, which is a biggie, right? It's a biggie, the big 60. And, of course, if she was here, we speculated about what we would have done for her, what she would have wanted to do. There would have been, gosh, so much, that we would have done. The celebrations would have been a month long. You wonder where I get it. Anyone who's my friend listening to this, you wonder where I get it from. Me mother, that's where I get it from. But we spent it together as a family on the Friday, because my brother and sister were at a wedding on the Saturday. And it was, to me, like the first birthday where I actually felt like I can celebrate her. For the years before, I've always wanted to. I've always wanted to celebrate her on her birthday. But in previous years, I just haven't been able to. I just haven't been able to have that within me to be like, we're going to celebrate you. And whether, having the wedding and still being on a bit of like a high really helped, probably a huge factor. Or just maybe being at a different, just each year holds something different, as I say a lot in many episodes about, the milestones, birthdays. Each year is different. Each milestone and birthday and anniversary is going to be different. And there's not like a template that you can give yourself that just sticks, forever. But this was the first year where I felt like, yeah, I can and I want to. I have both in the tank. I can and I want. And so we had the family round and all of us were together, and we did a cake and we sung happy birthday to her, like properly. I think that's the first time we really sung happy birthday to her. And my little nephew wrote a card to Nanny, and they know she's Nanny Sue in the sky. And I love this story, and I actually kind of can't wait to tell him when he's older. He's so sweet. Leo, he's 6, and Nala's 4, just turned 4, so she's a little young, but she knows. But Leo's a bit more chatty with it when it comes to mum, a bit more curious, a bit more aware. And I was doing the cake, and I think we sung happy birthday, and I was just before actually, and he says, afterwards, he's like toddling around, following me around the kitchen, like under my feet. And I'm like, Leo, what do you want? He goes, afterwards, Auntie, can we go outside? I was like, yeah. He goes, and can we throw the cake up into the sky? And he didn't. I cut him off before he finished his sentence, like the mean auntie that I am. And I went, no, we're not doing that. We're not throwing cake in the sky, thinking like, what's he on, like throwing cake in the sky, for fuck's sake? And then he went, no. He went, so that Nanny Sue can have some. Oh, and I felt so bad, guys. Oh, I looked at him and I cupped his little face. I just went, my boy, my sweet boy. And I was like, but still, no, we're not going to do that. No. I was like, the sentiment I understand, but no, we're not going to go and throw the lemon drizzle loaf up in the sky. But then we were all laughing, we were belly laughing, being like, we were imitating, like throwing a loaf up in the sky, like, here you go, mum. Here you go, Nanny. If only it worked like that, hey? We could just send parcels up, or, wherever we think they are, throw it up, and hopefully they just grab it, and they've got mum's there like, thanks, guys, love a bit of loaf, me. She did love a bit of loaf. But just the innocence of his little brain of thinking, well, she's Nanny Sue in the sky, and if we throw things up there, surely she'll get them. I just thought, oh, my sweet boy, if only it was that simple, hey? If only it was that simple. But we had a really gorgeous evening together, and just, again, being together, that connectedness, like I was saying right in the beginning, and then rolled into Saturday, which is her actual birthday. And the morning was a bit tricky. I just really was, it kind of reverted back to, oh my God, I can't believe you're not here. I just can't believe you're not here for your 60th birthday. And what would you be like? What would you look like? Just, where are you, Mum? Where are you? And just really took it slow. And then I kind of pulled myself together because I was going down to see Poppy's mummy, because not only is the 24th of August my mum's birthday, but it also marks and is the 1-year anniversary since Poppy received her stem cell transplant. And if you don't know what stem cell transplant is, essentially, from what I know of my knowledge, is that it's kind of the wiping of one stem cells and starting anew. You're kind of gifted with a whole new stem cell mechanics inside of you, And Poppy was gifted these stem cells by an umbilical cord that was donated to science by a family who lived in Canada, who had a boy who would now be potentially, at the time he was 12, he might be 13 now, but has no idea that him and his family gave Poppy the gift of a bit more time. And we're all very grateful to them. And science, hey, what a thing, an umbilical cord. So actually, no, because I will definitely be doing this. If you are either pregnant or considering children one day in the future, please consider donating your umbilical cord to science, because it could save a life, and it could actually potentially save you or your child's life in future should they ever need something regarding their stem cells. It's fascinating, absolutely fact that umbilical cord held enough in there to give Poppy a bit more time here. And so when she had this stem cell transplant last year, we kind of said it was like her rebirth. It was her rebirth. It was her new birthday. And I remember on that date last year being like, I can't believe, because we knew the transplant was going to be happening over like one of the couple of days around like in the 20s, over like the 23rd, 24th, 25th. We knew it was going to be around then. And it so happened to be on the 24th. And I remember texting Poppy just being like, I can't believe it that you and mum, and it wasn't in a way of like trying to make it about me, about mum, but of course Poppy played and plays such an integral part of my grief and for my mum and my healing. And she's like, I can't believe it either, babe. Like, I just couldn't believe the two women in my life were bounded by this date. And, my Virgo and Poppy, my Gemini, was on my horoscope gang. And yeah, and now they are bounded by this date. And so the 24th of August is not only my mum's birthday, but it's also, in a way, Poppy's too. And so I went down to spend it with with Poppy's mum and some of us who love and miss Poppy. And we had like a little ceremony, which was gorgeous and painful and just good again to be together. Everything's better when we're together, right? And for everyone, when we're together and don't have to navigate pain alone. And we laughed, we cried, and we went to the circus, which was fucking amazing, might I say. Not been to the circus since I was a child, but incredible. And I drove home, and I again just was reflecting like, it was so nice to have a day that was and has been otherwise really painful throughout the years, for it to have a different story this year. I'll look back in years and be like, what did I do on my mum's 60th birthday? And I'll have that memory attached to it. And the day before, like, there's a beautiful memory attached to it that, of course, had notes and themes of sadness throughout itself. But overall, there was a new narrative, and that felt beautifully overwhelming. I think overwhelm is also my word of the summer, but in some parts a really, really good way. And that has been the last 2 weeks. That has been August. However, though, of course, there's been deep joy, September is quite literally right around the corner. And for those who are aware, of course, it is the month that Poppy died. The 29th of September will mark 1 year since Poppy died. And I don't really understand how, I do not understand how it's been nearly a year since my mate left this earth and I'm still here and she's not. It feels literally like last month. Like, completely. I couldn't tell you where 12 months has nearly gone at all. And I think what's really stark about that for me is because my mum died 8 years ago now. And, the concept and the fluidity of time, you often, as time, of course, passes on, you forget how quick things do move and how fluid time is, I suppose. And how quick a year can blink, and before your eyes, you're in another year and you're like, whoa, okay. And I think I'm just grappling with that again, the real fluidity of time. And I feel like I'm preparing for it. I can really feel myself. I feel like I've spent a lot of time with me over this past year, that's for sure. I've had to spend a lot of time with me and figuring and supporting and nurturing me. So, like, my core sense of what I need to do to look after me is pretty strong now. Like, I thought I had it on lock for the past 7 years with mum. Nah, mate, no. I've had to this year really, really delve into looking after me because it's been really hard. And it's really hard trying to look after yourself and grieve for the person that in these situations you would have turned to all the time. I think that is just what's been so devastating, is that she was my person. Sorry for that big snort up the mic there. She was my person in joy, in pain, in everything. And grieving for her has just been agony. And so I feel like I'm preparing for my winter, though we're only going into autumn. I feel I'm preparing myself for quite a long winter. And I'll be okay. I will. I know that sounds a bit like, oh God, but I will be okay because, like I said, I've been spending a lot of time with me on what helps me. But I feel like I'm just preparing for my winter, and I'm trying to listen to my body and what it needs, when it needs to rest, when it needs to move, when it needs to dance. That's another thing too. I think when we can think about like listening to our bodies, it can be often about like, I think just going back to, or just thinking of like, what am I trying to get at here? I think we can just often think of like the rest and the repair, but that actually within rest and repair is doing like joyful things too, like listening to your body and listening to your needs is also listening to your, for me anyway, my joyful needs as well. When my body is crying out for a little dance, I'm like, Alexa, oh don't, I'm scared to say, I'm always scared to say it too loud in case she starts talking back to me. I say please and thanks to Alexa so that when she takes over the world, she doesn't hurt me. Is listening to, yeah, the joyful needs. So I got distracted there. The joyful needs, so that when I want to dance, I dance. If my body is asking for a bit of cake, I'm giving it a bit of fucking cake, you know? Not just listening to like the necessity needs. Does that make sense in a way? You know, not just like sleeping and do whatever. Like, if my body is crying out for fun, I'm gonna give it it. I'm gonna give it ya. I'm gonna give it ya. So that's been me. I hope within that it's not just felt like me just talking at you. I wanted to share this because I feel like within there's so many things, you know, about not only my personal experience, but of course that could relate to many of you, of course, like navigating weddings, whether that is of your own family members or even your own wedding. Just hearing, you know, someone else's perspective of going through that day, whether, you know, as a participant. I'll of course do an episode one day when it's my wedding and give you the lowdown on what it's like to be, you know, the primary person in it. And of course, with my mum's 60th, I hope that's been able to help, or just, you know, just to give you another perspective on someone navigating a big milestone birthday and just a birthday in general, and what me and my family have done and how that has helped us, and just how we've navigated through that, not only this year, but throughout previous years too. And so I just want to send big love to everyone, because I know, like I was just saying about like my winter, I know that will be the case for everyone. And, you know, every time of the year, I know people who, like, even for me, what's called, my mum died in June. It's a summer month, but it very much does feel like my winter as well. And when I say like my winter, I mean like what is connotated with winter, of kind of like hibernating, kind of low energy, like kind of just a bit more darker, a bit more heavier, right? It's kind of what connotates with winter, I suppose. Well, in my mind, that's what winter is to me, because I fucking hate winter. Anyone, I'm going to say it, anyone who likes winter, I personally think you're a bit of a weirdo. There, I said it. Come at me. Come at me. It was like, oh, lovely jumpers and stuff. I'm like, no, no, but I am a spring baby. So that is why I'm probably gonna get a lot of hate for that. Sorry. But anyway, when I'm talking about like having like your winters, like your personal winters, I know, for anyone who's in the next couple of months as we move into the latter part of the year of feeling like, yeah, like winter is coming, and in both physical and in personal as well, just sending you heaps of love and to remind you that, it's okay that, you need to move to, I guess you could kind of call it like it's your grief seasons, I suppose, isn't it? We moving with your grief seasons and not feeling the pressure to move with like the calendar seasons. If it's like, do you know what I mean? I'm getting at there. Yeah. Just sending lots and lots of love. Before I go, just a few little updates. Season 7, there you are. If you liked more of this, you probably won't be like, fucking shut up, Amber. Season 7 will be returning at the beginning of October, and we'll be seeing it all the way through until Christmas Day. Oh my God, I can't believe I just said Christmas. Can you? Fucking hell. All the way through till Christmas Day. So we have October, November, December, like three and a bit months of me in your ear. So I will be sharing more about that over September and when the launch date is and what you can expect from this next season. At the end of September, I'm really pleased to share that I am being a guest. I'm part of an event with the girls from If We Don't Laugh, Amy and Alicia, and Amelia from Suicide and Co. I'm all tongue twisted there, don't know why. We are doing a one-time event, a panel event in Manchester. Manchester? Fucking love Manchester. On the 25th of September at the Feel Good Club. I will put it in the show notes because I've probably butchered it all up there, the dates and whatnot, but I think it is right. But if you are in Manchester, if you're up north, I know so many people have been saying like, Amber, for God's sake, please just stop putting everything London centric. I'm like, I know grief lives outside of London and the South basically, and been desperate to come up and do an event. And so now is the time. So if you can make it, I'd love to see you and meet you and come and get involved and come and meet other people, part of the communities. It's going to be really beautiful. There is also another, myself and Amelia and the team from Suicide and Co. will be hosting a retreat in October at the Falcon in Northampton. Again, I will put more details in the show notes as well. And this retreat is aimed to be for those who have been bereaved by suicide, and it is jam-packed, guys. Like, it's jam packed, and it can be really, really great. So if you want to know more about that and fancy a little retreat, head on over to the show notes. If you've got any questions, please do please don't hesitate to reach out. Fuck me, can you tell I'm really rusty? And the last thing from me is the Grief Gang group circles. At this time of recording, some of the groups in the October to November cohort have sold out. So the Mother Loss group is currently sold out. If you want to join a wait list for that, you absolutely can, in case any dropouts happen. And if not, you'll be first to know about the November to January Mother Loss group. Father Loss group currently holds one space, but by the time this comes out, it might already be allocated. There's a few spaces left in my sibling loss group, and I'm really pleased to share that I have now added to this cohort a partner loss group. And the partner loss group has been something I've been thinking about adding for quite some time, and I've just been sitting on it for a little while, and I'm really, really pleased to be bringing them now and to be adding them to the cohort. So if you would like to be part of any of those circles or find out further information on them, please again visit the show notes of this episode, where you can find all details such as booking pages, where you can fill in an inquiry form or book in a 30-minute discovery call with me. But that's enough of me. This has been great. Oh my God, I've nearly chewed your ears off for an hour. An hour! This has been absolutely delightful. I'm actually really, really buzzing to get season 7 back up and running really, really soon. So as always, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting. Thank you for your kindness. Thank you for your compassion. I am really, really looking forward to being back in your ears very, very soon.